Perek Shlishi, Mishnah Aleph. We're now moving on to the third Perek, the first Mishnah. This is famously known as Perek Kira, which is an oven. This now discusses the halachas of Bishul on Shabbos. Bishul is one of the 39 halachas, and certainly when someone learns Hilchos Shabbos, Bishul takes up an enormous amount of learning. There are two types of Bishul that are under discussion. Number one, there's Bishul D'Oraisa, and there's also Bishul D'Rabbanan. Bishul D'Oraisa means that you cook something from less than Michael ben Drusoi, which was the food that this notorious bandit Ben Drusoi, who was always running around thieving. He never had time to sit down and eat benachas. He would eat his food half cooked, or according to the Rambam, I think a third cooked. And this food is called Michael ben Drusoi. If someone heats up food from raw or from less than Michael ben Drusoi to more than Michael ben Drusoi, he's been over Bishul on Shabbos, certainly B'mezid, B'chayav Misa, etc. If, when it comes to liquids, the shear is not Michael ben Drusoi, but is Yad Soledesbo. So therefore, a person who it's hot enough that he touches it, his hand will retract. According to Ramesha Feinstein, he says that Lekula, the lower shear, is I think 43 degrees centigrade, and the higher shear is 71 degrees. The post can discuss exactly what degrees are needed, but someone who cooks it, and we're choshesh, lahachmed for both, so if someone therefore cooks liquid from cold or from less than Yad Soledesbo to higher than Yad Soledesbo, then he'll be over the Issa of Bishul on Shabbos. So, that is the first introduction to this Perek and to the first Mishnah. The second introduction is that they had different ovens in those days. The first Mishnah will be discussing the oven called a Kira. A Kira is basically an oven which it's a rectangular shape, and it has a place on the top for two pots. Inside the actual oven you put the source of heat. Normally you put coal, or you put wood or straw, stubble. The Mishnah will discuss what type of fuel you use, and that creates much heat inside the oven, and it heats up the pots which are sitting or resting on top. That is the Kira. The second Mishnah will discuss the Tanur and the Kupach, which are slightly different ovens. The Tanur is a sort of a cone shape with room for one pot on the top, and that's very, very hot because the heat sort of focuses up to the top of the cone. That's the Tanur. And the Kupach is a square shape which has got, again, place for one pot on top. That Mishnah will discuss in the next Mishnah. So that is the second introduction, that our Mishnah is talking about a Kira, which is a rectangular type of oven where the source of heat goes inside the oven, and it has room on the top for two pots. Okay, now that is the second introduction. The third introduction is that there is Issa D'Rabbanan of Bishul. In addition to the Issa D'Oraisa that we mentioned earlier, there is an Issa D'Rabbanan. Chazal will go there that certain things we can't do on Shabbos, lest you might come to cook or to stoke the flames, which could be either a problem of havara, of kindling lights on Shabbos, or of cooking of further bishul, etc., or might be mechatish, maybe mechabe, might extinguish the coals, etc. There are three main areas of bishul D'Rabbanan. The first one is shehiyah. Shehiyah means that if something is cooked before Shabbos and you leave it there on Shabbos, Chazal in certain situations were worried that if you just leave it as it is, you might come to stoke the flame in order that it just heats up. Maybe it's cooled down a little bit, and therefore you want to just stoke the flame to just make it a little bit hotter for the Shabbos meal. That is shehiyah. Hatzmona is the second one. Hatzmona means that you would cook something on Erev Shabbos, and on Shabbos, in order to keep it warm, you wouldn't just leave it on the stove. That was shehiyah, but rather you would take it off and you would insulate it. And insulating a pot of food on Shabbos is a problem of hatzmona. Now there are two types of hatzmona, but that's going to be the discussion for Mitzvah for later on. But that is hatzmona, which we'll discuss in the continuation of the Mishnayos. The third Issa Bishul Midrabanon is chazara, and that is when to put a pot back onto the stove. You're not cooking because it's fully cooked, but even putting it back on gives the appearance, it's mechzik and mavashal, it looks like you're cooking, and there are other possible problems as well. But those are the three main categories of Issa Bishul Midrabanan: Shehiyah, Hatmona, and Chazar.